I'm going to show you guys how to put a spring joint on your avatar. So you want to go to the folder where your spring joints are located. In this case, it's going to be in the Valorant Effects folder, and you're going to click on one of the prefabs. I have the Phoenix Orb, Reina Orb, Sage Orb prefab, but we're actually going to click on the, actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll click on the Sage Orb just because they're all blue squares, so it's easier. And we're going to zero this out just so it's on our, like right next to our avatar. We don't really have to do this. I'm just doing it because I have like OCD or something. So we dragged the orb inside of our avatar. If you notice, it was outside in the hierarchy randomly, but now it's in our avatar. And you want it to be beside the armature and the body, obviously, so it's in the root of your avatar. And then you take the arrow keys and you drag it up to your wrist. So this is just simply positioning where it's going to be. So this is all preference really, but usually you want these near your wrists if you're doing this for vrchat. And then in the spring joint where it says none rigid body, we're going to open up our armature. I have a Mixamo rig, so it's going to read differently than a TDA rig, but it's basically the same thing. We're going to go all the way down to the right wrist because this is what we're going to use. And if you notice, it doesn't work because I have to put a rigid body on my right hand. So we're going to put a rigid body. We're going to uncheck the gravity, delete the drag. We're going to fire up our constraints here. Then we're going to click on the spring joint and drag the right wrist into the rigid body. And now, if we go into play mode, there's a fucking bug like crawling on my wall. Oh god. Sorry, this is the first load of the day. It takes a while. That's why it's just frozen in play mode right now. Okay, there it is. So if you see our orb is there, it's still on the root of our avatar, and if we, for instance, grab our right shoulder and we rotate it, you can see the spring joint works perfectly. It flies around. If we just rotate our right hand, it works perfectly exactly how we want it. So this is great. So yeah, that's basically how you do it. Now, when you're going to do your gesture, you want to activate the game object inside of the spring joint. You don't actually want to activate the game object with the spring joint attached to it, because if you disable this, the physics break and this doesn't work anymore. So this always needs to be enabled, and you need to activate the spring joint, or the game object, sorry. Basically the particles, you just need to activate the particles. Whatever you put on the spring joint to decorate it, that needs to be activated instead. And like I said, the spring joint needs to be off or on by default. On by default. This stuff can be off by default. Like if I just do this, see, it turns off, but the physics are still there. And yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. That's how you put a spring joint on your avatar for vrchat. So see ya.